Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Formula 1 podcast straight to the apex. Now then, I've been informed that apparently there is some confusion with which episode this is. It is definitely episode 4, in case there is confusion, which I am not aware of at this point in time, other than it has been suggested there is confusion. Drop me a line and let me know if that makes any sense to you guys. You can do that by first clicking the like button, share the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, drop a review, or just drop us a note. Tell us what's going on with the episode numbers. How's about that? Anyway, there's only one way to find out what's going on, so let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, straight to the apex.
Welcome back to Straight to the Apex, Season 2, Episode 3, in association with CookieCast.
Episode 4?
3?
4?
I'm sure it's 3.
All right.
We'll have a look at that. Anyway, welcome, Mark.
Hello.
And Adam, stepping in as a super sub today.
Hello, guys.
Unfortunately, James can't make it. He's gone to New York. Don't know why.
Well, there's quite a few reasons why. But never fear, I do have his and Charlie's predictions. They haven't come to you because, and I will play the voice message later, he doesn't trust you.
I have my own picks today, and I am going strong with them. Beth is on a work still, so she has not given me the pick, so I'll wait. She might message him, she might not. But anyway, how are we doing? Are we all good?
Good, yeah.
I've just double checked. We are on episode 4 today, Tony, so great start.
You did a few pre-seasons. I remember. Yeah.
So someone's been listening.
Yeah. Writing about that.
James, all I can do is apologise, and he's gone to shit without you already.
I'm sure this is 3.
It's 4, mate. I've literally just found the last episode on Spotify, YouTube, everything. It says season 2, episode 3. So this is 4.
Okay, so this is episode 4. Just for everybody. Saudi Arabia, Jeddah,
Yep.
race 2. Is that right, Mark? Race 2. Thank you.
Well done, mate. You've got one right. Get in.
Street circuit, the fastest street circuit.
Yeah.
Beautiful circuit. I loved the fireworks at the end. All the streets are lined up with lights, and it was amazing. A lot of money's been spent there, but let's not go there. Very quick track. What? Go on, Adam.
What do you guys actually, before we get into everything, and I know you're leading, Tony, what do you guys outright think of the track? What's your opinion on it? Good track, bad track?
I love the track.
Yeah.
That is what, for a street circuit, that is what you need. It's dangerous.
Yep.
It's quick.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody crashes,
yep,
it's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It mixes it up because it's a street circuit. It adds its own little bit into the whole calendar, and I love it. I think it's amazing under the street lights, and it's in Saudi. There's plenty of money behind it, so yeah, love it. What do you think?
Obviously, I don't agree with everything going on in the country of Saudi Arabia, and I don't think they should be hosting a Grand Prix if we're getting political. But forget all that because we're not political. I think it's a good street circuit. Like you say, it's a street circuit, so it's still hard to overtake. It's still narrow and a bit. I mean, looking at the grid walk of Martin, how narrow it was, I didn't realise. But it's better than Monaco.
Yes, God,
yeah.
Monaco's it's slowly getting to its sell by date, but I think, that's a problem that we don't have to think about. I think I've criticised the new owners, and don't get me wrong, we still need these prestigious tracks in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're stepping into this street circuit and circuits in the Middle East. Yes, love it. Throw the money at F1. Vegas, Miami was it's a bit strange. Vegas, I've said it before. I don't want it to change into Mario Kart. Sometimes feels like we're going in that direction, but no. I love this circuit. I hope it stays.
What do you think, Adam?
I like it's narrow. That's what you said, Mark. That was the first thing that jumped out to me. They call it the elastic band track, because if someone had dropped an elastic band, the layout just happens to be what they've decided they'll build a multi-million racetrack for. But I liked it. I thought it was a fast-paced track, which we saw. We'll obviously get into the racing, but I just wanted to see what you guys thought of it on the calendar in general. It's interesting that we all think the same.
Yeah.
A speed track is good, isn't it? More than a technical side of track where there's a lot of downforce needed.
I like the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Flow, and then just when you're in them head cams, it's just ace. It just looks so quick and dangerous, and just love
That's it. One thing I think we're very cautious of is we are one very scary crash away from it, though. It does feel like if someone goes off at the wrong place, it's very serious.
There was a few across the weekend. Was it Nick De Vries? Someone else lost it, and if it had gone, was it Stroll in practice? If they'd have gone left, it would have been an absolute disaster.
Well, Schumacher did it the year before, didn't he? He went backwards.
Yeah,
Schumacher did it, and then they've changed. No, did they change that? They've changed that.
They've widened one of the bits. Yeah.
They changed a few bits to it, which it was interesting. Leads us into practice nicely.
Yep.
Corner 22, I think they changed.
Mm-hmm.
Practice was pretty much as it is. Max understeer, complaining about that, but he was still fastest. Checo got a new gearbox, but alluding to what we've already spoken about, lots of problems with traffic because people can't get out of the way. And it's so quick. You've got such little time to get out of the way. Ferrari have changed both their power units, and they obviously were sandbagging. We'll get onto that a bit later on. FP2, Max was close to the wall, similar to nearly touched it like he did last year in the practice. Leclerc complaining about his clutch pedal. Anyway, nothing much more. Anything to add?
No,
nothing exciting, to be honest, in practice.
Qualifying. Straight away, Q1. Sargent 20, Norris 19, De Vries 18, Albon 17th, Tsunoda 16th. De Vries? Did I say that right, Mark?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Alonso and Sargent all span. And Norris hit the wall. And it was only a touch. Again, alludes to the first point you made, Adam. The track. It's a different track. So you need to manage it a lot different. And he only tapped it, and it just knackered Norris. Done, straight off.
Well, Sargent, his first lap got done disqualified for exceeding track limits. He spun out on the second, and then when he went for his final attempt, he had a technical problem and had to bail. He didn't have the best qualifying.
Unlucky. Do you think that, I mean, did he gain anything from going over onto the pink for the pit lane?
Nothing there.
No.
But
No.
They've got to do that every race now. They've got to do that.
That's the law.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, Q2. Max 15th, Bottas 14th, Magnussen 13th, Joe 12th, Hulkenberg 11th, and probably the biggest talking point, or one of the biggest talking points of the weekend, was Max and his problem.
Drivetrain. Bit of a weird one.
It is a weird one.
Something that kind of does a lot. I know they were saying in practice, one of the drivers was saying like the curbs are quite high, and if all the drivers went over it, they'd wear the planks out, but also wear the curb out. So I wonder if the Red Bull's been riding the curbs, and that's why it's gone. It's just not something that breaks, is it? Normally,
no. But before that, it did have a little bit of a little bit of a lock up, and he had to kind of go full tilt with his steering wheel. But there's nothing much more that you can read into it or look into it. I've tried today, but I can't see anything. It's strange.
It's the type of thing.
Go on, Adam. No, go on, Adam.
It's the type of thing that plays up when you're on lap 50, not 3 laps into a qualifying or whatever it was on. Which is weird.
It makes me wonder if their design this year, because it's so quick, if they are on the limit with the parts, like the housing, like just the way that it's built, are they absolutely on the limit of everything to get that extra bit out?
Crofty alluded to that on Sky. Said, has Adrian Newey or the engineers in general, have they pushed the car to the absolute limit and have not kind of taken these reliability issues into account? But then if you're pushing the limits, you don't know, do you? You could just be unlucky at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's one to watch. I think it's one to watch. If he, obviously, we'll allude to later that he had some problems in the race as well, but is it going to be something that's going to reoccur every week?
Well, they had a sniff of it and they changed it, didn't they? And something they had a what was it? Was it the gear? They had something up, the gearbox or transmission. They changed it, and that issue occurred. Something similar again. So what? Yeah, mechanics. I don't know. Don't know what to put it down. Anyway, going into Q3, Gasly 10th, Piastri 9th, Hamilton 8th, Ocon 7th, Stroll 6th, Sainz 5th, Russell 4th, Alonso 3rd, Leclerc 2nd, Perez 1st. Alonso's last pole, and I thought he was going to get pole, back in Germany 2012. That Aston is quick, and he is very much one with the car, as well as Stroll, who is not the greatest driver, but he's now in the 5th and 6th. Like, wow. But then Perez, look at him, street track specialist. Why didn't we see that in our predictions? I will never know. I'll never know. But who could predict Max?
Well, yeah, exactly.
And nobody saw that coming.
No.
Hamilton doesn't feel connected to the car. Well,
it looks awful.
It
looks awful.
It seems to be a running trend, and it is just this Mercedes is not performing as it should or as it can.
He said, didn't he, basically, the difference between him and Russell was they're really trying to like engineer the way around the car, and Russell went in one direction with setup, Hamilton went the other, and it was literally just a flip of a coin who had that much performance, and it was your mate George. You know, he was able to get 4th, which fair play to him. It's a crap car, and he's got 4th. Granted, Max broke down, but he still beat Sainz, he still beat Stroll, you know, Lewis. Fair play to him.
I mean, somebody commented on a YouTube video that I was looking at today, and it was such a great comment. Russell is driving, and we might have touched on this before, very, very way back. Russell just drives the car he's given. Lewis is trying to drive the car for him. He's not adapting to the car. He's trying to drive like he has done 7 or 8 previous seasons. As in, Russell is fresh in there, fresh in the seat, and he's kind of just like, I'm just taking it. I'm making a few decisions, but I'm just taking it as it is.
Well, he's used to that shit Williams, isn't he? That's why.
But Lewis did this last season. Will he slowly pick up? Is this just going to keep happening, and is then going to slowly pick up towards the end? The car comes to him. The car gets better. He gets better with the car, and he starts improving.
Yeah, 100%.
Piastri, I think, is my final point. Q3, supposedly he's not bad around this track, and it should. Yeah, good on him. Anything else? Alpines both make it into Q3. I don't know what else to say. Anything else to add?
Leclerc obviously had a 10 grid place penalty for his extra power unit, which Ferrari again struggling.
Let's get to the race, shall we?
Yeah.
And let's get into this right now. So straight away, race, the start. Alonso with his grid placement. Did he mean to do that or not? Adam?
No, I don't think he did. I think it's something to do with the cars, something to do with the boxes. The tyres, of course, are a bit different this year. They're not as heated up when they come out the wraps or whatever. Ocon struggled with it, didn't he, last week? I think it's going to become a bit of a common trend in the next few weeks. With that being said, however, that position that he was in was actually better than being pole because of the positioning on the track, they were saying, from the F2 racing earlier. So he may have been trying to obviously line it up like that, but he's too wise to know that that's a stupid thing to do, if you know what I mean, going out the box. I don't think he did mean to do it, no. But he paid the ultimate price, didn't he? Or one of the ultimate prices in a 5 second.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark?
Whoa, I'm not James. I know you miss him. James.
It's just your sexy look, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he took his penalty pretty well when they announced it on the radio. I thought he was going to kick off. But the fact that he just went, yep, okay, clearly, like you say, it's going to be a recurring thing this year, really. But did he gain an advantage? No, because he went forward in the box. He was like level to the side. It's a bit of they've got that big yellow line. As long as he's along that and not in front of his box. But I get that the sensors then picked him up outside, so they've got to have sensors on it. But common sense prevails. He wasn't far forward, was he?
I think he had the slowest reaction time compared to Checo. But I can't remember I think he was he was quicker to 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Now, the inside of the track is powerful from point of Adam said. I disagree with Adam. I think he's done it for so many years. Yes, the car's different, but Mark, his reaction, he just kind of brushed it off. I think he knew what he was doing. I think he knew, and I think he positioned the car a bit too obvious, maybe. And when everybody else is bang on, it looks so obvious.
Yeah, it did. It did on the camera.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I think, was it Ocon last week? The other week, tried to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. I don't know. I thought it would be better than that. And in my opinion, again, I think he should know better than that. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he nailed it. He went past. He was winning, and I couldn't believe it.
You was. I bet you were screaming at the telly. No, in Martin Formula One team cap.
Amazing. So then Stroll passed Sainz, and I just thought, this is incredible. This is incredible. Then Perez came back, and then Max was starting to storm through the field and past Leclerc, past Lewis.
The pass on Lewis said he's never seen a Formula One car faster. And it was he literally touched the DRS and that Red Bull rocketed. Like, I think they're a second ahead of everybody else.
Yeah,
I agree. They're just they're too quick. They're too quick. And unless
like say, even on a narrow track like that, he was making absolute mincemeat of Ferraris, Mercedes. Yeah.
It's like bordering on cheating.
It is. Yeah. It's like you being on easy level and all the and all the computer cards are shite and drive Latifi.
Well, let me throw it this way for you then. Because the cars obviously went to the new era of cars last year. If Red Bull last year made the executive decision, let's just cheat as much as we can for one whole year. Then if we get caught, we get caught. Doesn't really matter. We'll have the fastest car for the whole new scope of range. Do you know what I mean? I think they've gone about it with that approach to say, if we get caught, we get caught. If we don't get caught, we're going to dominate this car for the next 4 or 5 years until there's another format change or until there's another car change. So I think they've done a bit of a stick the neck out exercise to say, if we get caught, we get caught. If not, we're going to be laughing for the next 4 years. And I think Toto is embarrassed that he's let that happen. And, mainly Toto and Mercedes are embarrassed that they've let that happen. He did actually say, Toto, in the previous week that he's now accepting that he's going to have to copy Red Bull's design rather than get his own design of side pods and stuff, which is the ultimate embarrassment in it for a manufacturer of Mercedes quality to say, actually, we've been doing it wrong for nearly 2 years.
It's not just the side pods, like they always say, it starts from the nose. They are going to change. They are going to have to change every single part on that car to get the airflow. And they're not, like you say, Mercedes, the dominance and power of Mercedes, and they're having to copy their bitter rival. It is embarrassing. But that's a really good point you made, Adam. I actually agree with you. I think Red Bull, the way that they are, they've gone into last season thinking, scrap the budget, just spend, because whatever penalty we get, we're going to have such a gap. We can build a little bit and they're not going to catch. I think you've hit it on the head there. I think that's the way they've got into it.
Didn't even need that wind tunnel time this year. That was a laugh to them. They just laughed at that and took AlphaTauri's data.
Yeah. I think they've pushed so far ahead that now, even with the penalties, the others are going to be catching. And they'll probably still be catching them by the end of all the penalties because they've pushed that far.
Well, they've still got wind tunnel time. So what they'll do is they'll just, like you say, they'll put it on the AlphaTauri. If it don't work, right, don't make it to the Red Bull. If it works on the AlphaTauri, we'll put it in the Red Bull tunnel. Oh, it'll make our car faster. Right, get it on. They can pick and choose and use AlphaTauri as a prototype. Like you see, but they've got such a gap. Even if they added no performance to that car all year, I think they'll still be ahead.
Absolutely. So, come back to the race. Signs, box. And I was like, fuck's sake, what are they doing? But it was a dummy, and Stroll pitted. So my heart sank even more. It's like, fuck. Why the fuck have they? Why have they listened to them? And then Leclerc pits, Sainz pits, Stroll stopped the car. Don't understand why. Why did he have to stop the car immediately?
There was something wrong. Yep. What I don't get is I don't think we needed a safety car because he stopped it in a very safe place.
I thought that, but then you will never guess who is the only man in history to have a crash on that part of the track.
No.
Which resulted in a safety car. Have a guess.
I mean, is it the man in the myth, the legend himself?
Oh, greatest Chad ever to grace racing.
Yeah, that man crashed where no one thought a safety car would be needed.
Well, if he can crash there, full safety car. Definitely.
That's why they did it. I think that's why they did it, because there was a bit of whatever sticking out just on the track perimeter. They'll have probably known that there was a crash there last year, and they've gone full safety car, which I still don't think it was a full safety car.
The thing is, Adam, the caliber of that driver that crashed there before, it could have easily happened again.
Definitely. If it's happened to him,
and then it could have been absolute chaos.
Yeah.
So it can happen to the best.
It can happen to the best.
If it can happen to the best, it can happen to anyone. So get a full safety car out there.
Yeah, that's what they thought. They weren't messing about. No virtuals, straight into safety.
It's the street circuit. I mean, it's narrow.
Yeah, it's fast as well. It's like you say, it just fucked up Ferrari again, and it kind of messed up our race a little bit, because I think Max was coming through on his own, and I do think that halted it a little bit. But obviously the Max jumped Ferrari in it, and it helps them. But yeah,
the overcut. Supposedly it was reduction in energy recovery. But the way they were going on the radio, it was like the car's going to explode in T-minus 5 seconds.
Turn the car off.
Yeah. And poor Lance couldn't say anything back. Anyway, it restarted. Lap 21, and Max passed Russell, and this goes to the point that you were saying, Mark. Crofty, it's like F1 versus F2. And it really was. It just made mincemeat of it. And then he passed Alonso on lap 25, which is exactly what Alonso predicted earlier on in the weekend, which was a bit weird. He kind of said it as a tongue-in-cheek, and he actually did it, which was a bit scary. And a copy is never as good as the original. There we go. Nothing else happened, really. Lap 37, vibration, drive shaft, cutting corners. So they started complaining, didn't they? Or Max did. He could hear a sound or something.
Yeah, you could hear it over the radio at top speed. It was like a whining, high-pitched whining. Not Max, I mean, the actual car was making that noise.
Thank you for clarifying. And then they were cutting corners. Did you see that as well?
Yeah.
That's all that about.
4 times.
Many times?
4 times until they got the black and white flag, they were allowed to do it. So they just Red Bull. So they tactically worked out 3 laps when they could do it, basically.
They were so far ahead that they were just cutting the corner.
Yeah. Well, Perez all of a sudden then come on, didn't he? Saying he had a long brake pedal, just as he played that shot of him cutting the corner, and then Max followed him. Yeah,
brilliant.
Funny that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sargent dropping lap 38. He dropped like a stone, didn't he? As he got pipped by Joe.
He went to the what do you call it, the director or whatever he is at the on the radio, and he was like, "Oh, I think we could have points here. There's a good chance we could have points." The next thing you know, everyone overtook him.
Williams do what they do best. Then lap 48, which is a big talking point, which is probably the biggest talking point, a penalty for Alonso because he didn't serve the penalty correctly in the first place. Why lap 48? Supposedly, it took this long because another team, we're not quite sure, could have been Mercedes, but we're not sure, contacted the sporting manager, and said, why don't you have a look at that back jack at the back?
I've got to be honest. I watched it real time, the penalty being served, and as soon as he touched the back of that jack, I thought he's done exactly similar to what Ocon did last week. I picked it up real time, and I was not surprised at hearing that news. So it didn't come as a shock to me, but it did to the commentary. They were a bit like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? and then obviously the fiasco that happened behind it. But initially, from it getting called, I thought, this is the right call. Sounds right. He did touch it. Clearly see he went in with the jack there. They put the camera on the lad's face who did it, and he was absolutely gutted, and all his mates were sort of disgusted with him. And I thought, poor lad, he's just made a bit of a mistake, and he's getting ridiculed now by everyone. But I thought outright, he's been caught, unlucky mate, 5 seconds. And then, of course, go on, Tony, I'll let you explain the fiasco we had.
Well, he's gone up there, Alonso. He's got done all the celebrations. Come back down and said, "Oh, you've got fourth." And he was like, fuck it, I've already celebrated. We're doing better than what we thought anyway. So who cares? And then George Russell's walking around like he's got a new puppy. Like, oh, look at me, I've got third. And doing his typical bullshit that he does. Like, oh, they were really harsh. I thought the FIA were really harsh on our legend Alonso. But I'll take the trophy and I'll walk around like this. And then it got rescinded a few hours later, and I was like, whoa, what a fiasco.
Wow.
Can't believe it. In my opinion, he touched the car.
Yes.
He touched the car.
Giving
But
Ocon,
he touched the car.
well,
Did
if you're
touch
giving
the car.
Ocon the penalty, like Adam said, on the first view, I was like, you can't really see it, but then the reaction of the mechanic, he knows he's put the jack under there and lifted it up ready. Now that to me is gaining an advantage because the rules where you can't touch the car. Ocon got pulled for, like, I know they put the Allen key in the front wing for Ocon, which is a little bit different because obviously it's in there, but apparently the wording is a very grey area. And that's why Aston Martin were able to provide video evidence of people serving the penalties and the jack touching, and that's how they got off.
I mean, it touched it. It didn't raise it. It just
he
touched
touched
it, didn't
it
it?
and got it ready, yeah. But they said, Aston Martin rightly said, well, they've done it with nothing. So apparently this grey area in the rules is going to get changed where you cannot touch the car. Because the rules actually don't say you can't touch the car. They say you can't work on the car.
You can't work, but what is work? Work. What is work?
Exactly. So, again, it's another bullshit rule that the teams are able to manipulate and get round. Just have it as black and white because then we won't have it. Like, say, poor Alonso, well, not poor Alonso, but he celebrated it. And for a few hours, you didn't know who was third in the race.
No, you didn't know. Lawrence rang up his best solicitor and found the biggest piece of evidence all in the space of half an hour. And fair play to them. They had the tools ready to prove we're innocent. So they did rightfully, in my opinion, get the place back. The people who look stupid, as always, unfortunately, were the FIA.
Yeah, again.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, unfortunate, but hey, added a little extra spice to the race. And then that gets us on to Perez at the end. Pushing. Was he pushing, told to back off, was given a target time, but then Max's target's time was quicker, so then he was questioning the engineers, what's going on here. And then Max waits till the last lap to do his fastest lap so he can get an extra point, which the team said we don't need it, but he was adamant that he was going to do it. What is going on?
It puts him ahead in the championship by a point. Like, and the way that Max and his dad Josh reacted, like James actually messaged me about this and said he wants to talk about it more next week when he's back. But the way them two reacted, I honestly think that Red Bull have backed themselves into a corner, and Max and Josh rule Red Bull. Like, how can you give one driver a target time and say don't push the car? Obviously, your brake pedal's long. Max has got some reliability issues. He's matching your target time. And like I say, it's catching. And then all of a sudden, Max pumps in the fastest lap just so he's ahead in the championship. It's like, like a petty child after race 2.
Well, it's acting like, and I'll phrase what you've said previously, a spoilt child. And I think that's just where it comes from. It's been given everything for so long that is coming across really arrogant. But then on the flip side, is this a champion mentality? Is this sometimes you've got to be selfish to be the best?
On that note, we'll talk about that in the second half. Should we take a break now?
God, I can't wait for this part 2.
Say bye, Tony.
Oh, goodbye.
Hey, you. Yeah, you that's listening right now. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode of Straight to the Apex, the Formula One podcast from CookieCast. If you're enjoying this episode, why not like, share and subscribe? Whilst you're there, feel free to check out some of the other podcasts that CookieCast has to offer. If you like football, we've got a football podcast. NFL more your thing? Then the Laces Out podcast is for you. Maybe even a little bit of the wrestling. Just look for the Getting Over podcast on CookieCast. Maybe you want to listen to Andy's Darkest Timeline. It's there too. So, the F1 boys have probably got themselves a drink. It's time to get back to the action.
Let's go. Welcome back. So Straight to the Apex, Season 2, Episode 4. Supposedly. Not quite sure about that. In association with CookieCast, but you've probably already heard about that already over the interval. Thank you, Andy. We love you. Keep up the good work. Where was we? Red Bull.
Red Bull.
It's heating up. It's heating up in the garage. It's definitely not over. This little, what should we call it? Disagreement.
It's dragging on. I think all this we saw through this though, didn't we? That, let's be honest, it wasn't sorted last year. Max has still got to be in his bonnet about Monaco. Perez has got to be in his bonnet that everything else goes against him. I mean, he said yesterday the reason why he joined Red Bull was to challenge for a title. Do you guys honestly think he'll be allowed to challenge for a title? Unless Max has a DNF in the next 10 races and is out of contention, can you really see Perez being allowed to challenge for the title with Max?
No, but I wish he was. But no, I don't think. We had to handicap Verstappen by 15 places or whatever it was at the start for him to become less than 5 seconds close to Perez. If Verstappen had started below 10th, he'd have won that race by 15 seconds, probably. Something like that.
Would they have let him race?
No, not if there was plenty of laps. Sorry, Mark. What were you saying?
I was going to say they'd have engineered it and moved Perez out of the way.
Yeah.
But they couldn't use before when this situation has arisen. They've used a Ferrari as an excuse to kind of like, but when they're so good and they're so quick, they were out in front so far. What are they going to do?
I think it's going to kick off. I think Perez is going to go against some team orders because they will team orders. They will do team orders to Max's benefit because Josh Verstappen's face and Max's face from going 15th to 2nd was basically like, that was shit. And then did you see the press conference where Max went ballistic? I'm not here for second.
Not here for second.
Come on.
Nico Rosberg says.
If he says
it. Hold on. They need to be more gracious.
Yeah, they do. One time I agree with him.
Yeah.
They need to be more gracious. It's just, I think they're going to go multi-21. I think Perez is going to go, no, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. I think he needs to. I think he really needs to. He's got it in him to win it. I do think he really has, and obviously he's got the car. And what I mean is that I do think he has got it in him to challenge Max. I think many drivers you'd put alongside Max and they'd just roll over and say, "Oh, you know what? I'll be number 2 at the best team in the world with a car that's 1 second faster or what have you." But I think Perez has got the fight in him to say, "Do you know what? I want this." For example, when they tried to manipulate his times at the weekend, when they tried to tell him, "Oh, just go 0.6 of a lap slower," or whatever it was, they'd have worked out that the next 20 laps, if he does that, Max will be on his backside in 5 laps to go and they'll have to make a decision. But Checo, racing 200 kilometres an hour, understood that, hang on a minute, you're trying to get him to catch me before because he's lapping this much faster, and basically said, "No, that's wrong. I want to push." And his engineer's ass basically fell out and went, "Oh, okay, push, yeah, everyone push." So I think he's got too much fight in him to roll over and say, "Oh, there you go, Max, here's another one."
I think he's also backed by the wealthiest man in Mexico. And let's be honest, the wealthiest man in Mexico will not be pumping all this money into Perez and Red Bull for him to finish second.
Yes.
He wants a title getting brought back to Mexico. And like you say, Perez is a fighter. But I honestly think either they'll manipulate the result with, "Oh, your car's breaking down," or something will go on and it'll engineer that Max then has a nice, comfortable lead and Perez will go back to being number 2. Unless he's a twat and doesn't listen to a word they say. And then we've got fireworks.
Yeah.
But if he does that, what are they going to do? What can they do? Sack him?
Well, I wonder, do they have a good reserve driver? Do they have a reserve driver?
Rumour has it they've got a decent one, haven't they?
Oh, really? Someone who could possibly fill in for half the season if there was any issues, or
you mean a yes man?
Someone,
man.
Well, let's be honest. He wouldn't have been 5 years ago, but the 5 seasons he's had, he will be the ultimate yes man for Red Bull.
Yeah.
Didn't he leave Red Bull for a similar
Renault?
Reason
to be a team leader? Yes, he did.
Because he couldn't go against Max.
Yes,
and he kind of found that out.
And then he realised that Renault was not what it said it was, and then he went to McLaren. Had a bit of a, obviously the 1-2 in Monza. I watched that McLaren the other day again. That was beautiful, and the grass isn't always greener, is what Ricciardo has realised, I think, and now he is a yes man. And I think he just wants to stay in the sport he loves, and he's just accepting, I'll be at the side, be a bit of a social media character for him whilst I'm not doing anything. He could have took a seat at Haas, probably. Could have took a seat at Alpine or somewhere like that. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, he's too good to be a reserve driver, is my point. Is he just waiting in line for someone to step out of line, i.e. Checo? Is something going to get manipulated? So that plays a part as well.
Yeah.
They touched on reading and watching various stuff. Is it McLaren, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton when they had their little to do? Similar situation.
I think that was different. I think Lewis and Nico were friends. Something happened. I can't remember what incident it was, and Lewis didn't like it. Nico then decided he was going to be like this zen, like absolute nun kind of zone in, won the title, and then retired because it took that much out of him. He couldn't keep that up every year. They fell out personally. They fell out professionally. Max and Perez have always seemed like in front of the cameras they've got on, and I think Perez has wanted to get on with him, but Max and his dad are so single-minded, and I get what you said, Tony. Maybe that's what you've got to be a champion, but Jos Verstappen, I do think, goes too far, and he's bred that into Max.
Yep, definitely.
I do. Good point, I think, but it's going to end in fireworks, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
It's 100% now. It's
Yeah.
going to end in a bit of a scrap. It's going to
They
be
will-
things said, and it's going to be nasty.
They will fall out with everyone to win a title.
100%. Oh God, yeah. They will cross every line. They will
Even
cut every corner.
amongst themselves.
Exactly.
Of course they will.
Yeah. 100%.
Right. Let's move on from that because
Okay.
let's get on to more funnier things, and it begins with F, and it's Ferrari. Sandbagging. Oh, they're sandbagging in practice in Bahrain. Oh, the reliability is better. Look what happened in the first race, and here we are now. All Vasseur understands there's a lack of performance. They just need to see where it's coming from. A lot of work, a bit of everything. That's what Leclerc says. Signs, like the old cars on hards, falling back. That's why I had to comment about this race. I mean, like I said earlier on, I think they've had their season where they were a little bit in front of everybody, and now they're just falling back, and reliability is on them.
They've built a car that's basically like an Alfa Romeo. It's Italian, it's unreliable, and it chews through its tyres. I honestly don't think they'll get back to the glory days.
Nah. I think they're fading this season. They're just gonna fade.
Look at Leclerc. Look how frustrated he is. And I think he said, didn't he say on the radio, this is a shit car to drive or something? Their heads have gone and it's race 2.
Strategy again. Telling them things that they should have been told about 3 laps ago. Like, they're costing Leclerc championship, aren't they, basically? Yeah. But then even I think that's up for debate. And what we've already discussed before, Leclerc's like this prodigal, he's got a championship in him. I don't think he has.
Not over a season. We've said this, haven't we?
Yeah, he's good, but it's not great.
No, he's not consistent. There's only really 3 of them, isn't there? Lewis, Alonso, Max.
Yeah. And he's better than Sainz. Okay, maybe just, I would say.
Yeah,
maybe.
Much in it.
But not like, he's the number 1 driver and he's going to win a championship. I think they're really blowing, like really bullshitting. Really just bullshitting Leclerc. Because even if he moved, I don't see him really doing any good or any better anywhere else.
No, there's nowhere to go, is there?
No, totally agree.
Anything else to add about the race?
Albon, brakes didn't work, but he decided to do another lap anyway, just to see if he could run a cow and over it.
I thought that was so wrong.
It was.
Yeah. Supposedly they were trying to fix it.
Yeah.
But
how do you fix brakes that don't work? Like you said.
Brakes don't work, street circuit, fastest circuit. Yeah. Let's just have a little drive around, why not?
Let's do another lap. We'll just bounce off the walls. It's fine. It don't matter.
We'll just try and not get in the way of the other cars that are driving at like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Silly.
You'll have to watch out for us.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing to mention is McLaren having an absolute shit show again. 2 front wings in the space of 2 laps, wasn't it? Which pretty much destined them to about second to last and last for most of the race. Just embarrassing, really. You've got to think Lando's got to be embarrassed by the car. Piastri obviously took a big contract, laughed at the faces of Alpine, and now is looking very silly early on.
Yeah.
Which was written in the stars, wasn't it, really?
It was, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Norris, suddenly it's all coming out now. Norris needs to move if he's going to get any better. Norris isn't as a strong a driver if Piastri can beat him. what does that say about Daniel Ricciardo?
Mm.
The car's not good enough.
No, it's not. It's the factory or whoever have done both the drivers wrong there, I think. Don't think you can blame the drivers at the moment for anything in that McLaren. Piastri was 9th, wasn't he? He got through to P3, so car had potential.
15th.
And dropped to 15th because first lap his wing fell off.
He's won a race there in F2. And he's so. What's the issue here? It's the car.
It is.
I don't think Zach Brown's going to last long.
Oh God, no chance.
I think from Drive to Survive and what's happening right now, his days are. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Unless they can kind of find some pace or get some upgrades in these next few races and get some points.
Well, they've said a bit like Mercedes, haven't they? They went down the wrong path and they noticed a bit earlier, and they've got upgrades coming. So let's see. Is this just a very basic car until all the upgrades come? But McLaren say this quite a lot, don't they? So
they're the most underperforming at the minute, aren't they?
Oh, they have been for years. Yeah.
So Perez won, Max second, Alonso third, Russell fourth, Hamilton fifth, Sainz sixth, Leclerc seventh, Ocon eighth, Gasly ninth, Magnussen 10th, Tsunoda 11th, Hulkenberg 12th. Magnussen getting a point there. Was happy. Yeah. Get Bottas 18th. Yeah. Joe 13th, De Vries 14th, Piastri 15th, Sargent 16th, Norris 17th, Bottas 18th, Albon and Stroll. I mean, yeah. Interesting. Last few things. Birdie Collins, new commentator, made some very good points.
Oh, the Aston Martin strategist, Very former,
yeah.
She was very good,
Very good. Great hair. Hopefully they'll keep her. Did anybody see the band who sang the national anthem?
Yeah.
It was the fucking worst band I've ever seen at the start of my life. I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia. That is my opinion.
Other countries upset. Take that one off.
I'm sure you'll come. It didn't come across that well on TV. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. Don't think I have much else to say about the race.
Well, before we get predictions, sorry, Adam. So Tony's Corner, I'd like to bring this up this week. It's obviously
exactly what I was saying.
Mr. He's going to point all my wrong predictions out last week on the podcast. So this week I thought, let's see if Tony's predictions come right. So Tony, didn't you say there'd be a massive crash at the start?
I did, and all
that happened?
No, the only thing that happened was a part of a front wing about the size of my hand came off a car. That was it.
So he was wrong, right? Okay.
I was wrong.
All right, take that. George Russell. What was something about George Russell? Did you say?
I said George Russell. He would go kamikaze in the first corner.
How did he do? He do?
He did well throughout the race. He kept it together. So
he was wrong.
I was wrong again.
Yeah, that's two. Right. Okay. Was there any other bold predictions you made?
I said because it's a street circuit, there'll be a few crashes and a few safety cars. There was one.
And why was that? Was it a crash?
Well, we've already debated, was it a safety car or not? I obviously say it was.
But was it a crash? Was the safety car brought out for the crash?
Well, no, there was no crashes. That's quite true.
So that's another one wrong. Right,
well, so didn't break down. No one knows.
Again.
Stop.
Well done, you. I mean, mate, you've done class there. So, bit of a lesson to yourself there.
Even Sargent at one point just dropped like a... no. Maybe that's the end of my
Cockiness.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Adam. What was you going to say, Adam? Before I
was just going to say the only eventful thing that happened other than the racing was probably the drone footage of the start of the race. It was pretty impressive. The countdown from 10.
yeah, that was good.
But
Yeah. They did all them shapes in the sky as well, didn't they?
Instead of the fireworks, yeah, that was pretty
Fireworks.
cool.
Pretty impressive. There you go. Oil money, guys.
Yeah, there was no fireworks in the practice this time, or billows of smoke during free practice. So,
No. And there was no near miss missile strike as well.
Yes,
That-
yeah.
No.
No.
It was all right.
Was
We
that
did well.
Saudi? Was that Saudi? Or was that Bahrain?
No, it was Saudi. It was Saudi last year, yeah.
Yeah. Looks pretty good.
So do you want to do predictions for that race, or do you want me to take over what James normally does? Our predictions for what I said?
Well, we all did predictions for this race, and out of all 6 of us, only 1 point was scored, and that was James saying Alonso third.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Mark?
That is correct. So that would leave
That would mean
your
Mark
7.
I have 7. James has 4.
And I'm
Mark
3.
Mark is joined. Well, Mark has 3.
Oh, with Charlie, yeah.
Charlie has 3. Katie has 2. Beth still has none.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Australia.
Yeah.
Albert Park Circuit. April the 2nd. Last year, Leclerc won. Perez, Russell, Hamilton, Norris, and Max had to pull out because of a failure.
Got more,
Yeah.
more DRS zones this year. Apparently
More
it's gonna be,
DRS.
yeah. It's going to be apparently I think it's the most DRS zones we've had on one circuit.
Interesting.
And they've changed the layout a little bit in Australia, so
It's just that first corner that's just amazing in Australia. It's that like hairpin it out. It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, was a
So-
record crowd last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything much to say. What you want my predictions first, don't
As
you?
the host, Tony, I've got a little video, audio message from James, who's like saying in New York, but he has stated, and he's possibly very drunk right now after the texts and photos we've seen.
Yeah.
He has stated that cheating Git should go first this week.
Wow. He was congratulating me last week, and now he's calling me a cheating git. What a son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
So, what are your predictions, Mr. Rawson? Tony Rawson?
I have Max first. I have Alonso second. And I have third place Lance Stroll for his
Wow.
first podium.
You have gone full Aston Martin.
AMR 23, baby. It's happening. It's happening. Double podium.
Adam, do you share your brother's optimism for the Aston Martin Greens?
I like Aston Martin this year, but I don't think they're going to do much other than the odd Alonso third place. With regards to how it's going to go in Australia, it's going to be the usual 1-2, just with Verstappen first and Perez second. There'll then be a gap of probably about 35 seconds to the next competitor, who could be one of about 5 people I'm thinking of, if I'm honest with you. I'm going to throw in a bit of luck and say that Leclerc's going to do something. I had him, to be honest, that's the same lineup I had this race on, 1, 2 and 3. Like we discussed earlier, is the Ferrari heading in the wrong direction? I guess we'll find out more on April the 2nd.
Nice.
You think a failing Ferrari, who has changed its power unit already twice, get a podium?
I do. I think they'll get a scrappy third, but I think that'll be the story about the whole field, apart from one team. Will just be fighting for that third place. If I was the bookies right now, I'd be doing the markets, which could, without Red Bull, basically, without Verstappen. I think that's the only thing that's going to be entertaining. First race of the season. Do you recall ever seeing a Red Bull on your telly? Because I don't.
Nope. Nope.
No, I think he's going to be getting used to not seeing them and just doing a race without them.
Might as well. Like you said, they were that far in front, the sponsors must have been so pissed off that the cars first and second didn't get shown on telly until the end.
Yeah, I think that's the norm, to be honest. Yeah. They're too good, and it's well done to them, to be fair. Even if they have cheated or what have you, they've made a bloody fast car, haven't they? We've got to admit that.
Yeah, they have.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
they've cheated or not, they've made a bloody fast car.
But it's motorsport, isn't it? Before the cap, it was whoever makes the fastest car wins, and they've made the fastest car. Yeah. Apparently, they've not cheated too badly. I have my doubts, but realistically, what do I know?
No, exactly. They've spent the money, allegedly not much more than they should have done, but they have made a bloody fast car regardless. Yeah. Pound for pound, that's the best car.
You've got to respect it, haven't you? Yeah, you've got to say well done. Even though I don't like the team, I don't like the principle, I don't like Verstappen's ordeal, which we spoke about.
Hats off to him. Yeah.
I'm pretty decent.
So, who do you want next, Tony? Me, Katie, or the Stainforths?
Whatever.
Right, we'll go me. I am very, very similar to Adam. It's Max first, Perez second, Alonso third.
No, finally! It's finally gone.
So Katie's gone for, and you're going to like this even more, Fernando Alonso to get a victory in Aston Martin.
I'll be gutted if she gets that right. She's predicted the first win.
She's gone for Lewis second and Russell third. So an absolute Red Bull meltdown.
I'd like that. Isn't there a photo of didn't Perez retire last Australian GP? And there's a photo of him walking through the wilderness back to the pits. And there's loads of koalas and stuff.
I think so. Yeah,
I'm sure that was Australia.
So it could happen.
Could do it. Yeah, I'd like that.
Not gonna happen.
Did you got Beth predictions or?
She hasn't sent my predictions, but she's got 0 points. So I mean, whatever they may be,
they would have been right. Is that what you're saying?
I think collectively, we all want Beth to get a point. So we can maybe give her this leeway and this extra time to decide who she's going to pick.
You can add it to the group after the podcast and okay.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
So this is a little message from our New York friend.
This guy.
I think it's 6:45 here. So what time it is there? Probably about 9:45. Got my predictions for you. So for Australia, I am going with Max for the win, Perez second, and Alonso third. I'm sending them to you because I don't want to influence Tony and have him cheating or anything else like that, because that's already got a good head start. And yes, you can play this on the podcast.
There you go.
What a son of a bitch. Is he really thinking that it's going to... Oh.
Mate, last week, you waited for me to go, and then you just copied me because your quote was, I'll still be in front of you. That was what you said. Yeah, so you deserve everything you get.
He copied me, and he's copied his last pick from last week. Does that mean next week he's going to do the same? And the week after that, he's just going to pick the same picks every week?
He's gone for the same as me. So...
What do we say? A copy is never as good as the original.
Well, I had put mine in the book before he told me his, and he obviously didn't get mine. So,
Well, yeah, you've gone that as well, haven't you, Mark?
yeah, I have, yeah.
You're fucking bastards, you two, aren't you?
So,
No
Charlie,
wonder.
Charlie,
This
has
is
got
the key. This is the key. Go on.
Max to win. You're really going to like this next pick. Alonso second.
Fucking great minds think alike.
We're all aboard the Alonso train after Tony boarded it at the first station.
She's definitely not picked Stroll.
No, she's not an idiot. Pick Charles Leclerc.
Interesting.
She picked a Ferrari? What?
Don't write him off just yet. Don't write him off just yet, is all I'm saying.
Well,
They've gone.
on that note, Tony,
They're already toast.
obviously we've started a bit of a theme, so let me just get a bit of paper. I want Tony's bold predictions.
Ooh.
So by the sounds of it, Ferrari, do you predict to break down, not finish anywhere?
Whoa, now I've got to be careful of what I say.
Interesting.
What's your bold predictions?
I think, well, to go off my picks, I think Perez will break down because of what we've already spoken about in the podcast. That would make it conveniently easy for Red Bull, wouldn't it? And I think that might happen with the problems that they've had already. Usually, if one goes, the other one's closely follows, and it's him in the car. It's not Max. So after that, Aston Martin are crushing it. If Stroll hadn't been told to abruptly stop for no reason, he could have been fourth. He could have been right up there. So, and they look so strong, both of them. But again, it's Stroll. He's not the greatest of drivers, but he's got a really good car.
And I want a left field one. I want just something off the top of your head that you think something like last week, big crash, George Russell causing it. Come on. What's your gut? What are you feeling?
I feel like I don't know. I honestly think Ferrari, they're gonna be crap. I honestly don't understand why people are putting them in the top three, because they're crap. They are crap.
Right. I've got 3 bold predictions. So what I've written down, Tony's bold predictions, Perez breakdown, Aston Martin crush it, Ferrari crap.
What are yours, Mark? Do you have any predictions?
This is Tony's call. Nothing to do with me.
Adam, what do you think?
I've got two.
Okay.
First one, I think, like we said at the start of the podcast, I think this will be the week Perez ignores team orders, or Max ignores team orders. I think there'll be a Red Bull Barmy, basically, this week. There'll be Summit that'll kick off, or whenever the race is, the 2nd of April. There'll be a blatant ignore of team orders that causes a kickoff. But that's not as bold, because we know that's coming, don't we, I suppose?
We do, yeah.
My bold prediction is that it'll finally kick off between the Frenchies, and Gasly and Ocon will kick off, and they'll hit each other, because Gasly went through a stage last year of basically knocking out Tsunoda every other week from the race. I think that's going to kick off again, and Ocon and Gasly are going to basically start the rivalry again at the same team.
It's been very nicely off camera, hasn't it? And like on camera when they've done a little piece before the race, like, oh yeah, like we respect each other. Yeah, yeah, that's gonna
That is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Anyone that's a teammate with Ocon is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
But then they're so laid back. Don't you think they're so laid back, both of them?
Yeah, but then I respect Ocon because obviously he had the banner with Max, which made it, that was nice.
Well, wow. There's some big predictions there. I can't believe you've gone the same as James.
Total fluke. Like I said, total fluke. Nothing. There's no, collaborating between me and James. We both want to beat you. So,
I mean, the Aston Martin train has to slow down at some point.
when are you going to jump off? When are you going to jump off?
Or does it? Does it just keep going? Third time lucky.
We'll see.
And on that bombshell, this has been Straight to the Apex podcast, available everywhere on all your podcast places. Thank you for listening and watching. Hopefully, James will be back in a couple of weeks' time. Adam might be as well, maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks to Adam for stepping in. So I am left in a room just with Tony. Don't know what happened then. Don't know what happened.
Chaos. I might as well. Oh no, we couldn't. But yeah, that would have been amazing. We'd have to get somebody else on. Who else would we have got on?
Anybody. Just so that you just want me and you.
Anybody. Just a special guest. Just put it out there. Anybody.
I'd have just gone on the street and shouted, anyone want to be on a podcast? Come in.
Anybody. Well, I'm still waiting for a message from James. Suppose he's going to meet Lewis Hamilton in a second.
I think he's a few Long Island iced teas past texting back, mate. He's gone. He's enjoying the New York City high life.
He's probably eating the pavement right now, or the sidewalk, as they call it back there. But yeah.
From some of these messages, I won't be surprised if he's been locked up.
Well, yeah, that's it. By the NYPD. Took him down to the precinct. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you next time.
See you later.
See you in a bit, guys. Take care.
So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another race gone. Another race to look forward to. Big thanks to the Straight to the Apex boys for bringing us, let's face it, the best Formula One content around. You can show your love for the Straight to the Apex podcast and any of the CookieCast podcasts by giving it a little like, share, subscribe, comment, drop reviews, leave 5-star reviews where you can. That's a big help to the podcast. You can also jump over to our website. It's thecookiecast.com. There you can find social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. Join us next time when the guys will be talking more Formula One, which is why you're here. Until then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.